It started with a flat line on a radar screen.
The crew flew across that no-fly zone and apparently saw what they were not supposed to see.
Not a mountain, not a crack, not a lake. A perfectly straight edge buried more than 2 miles beneath Antarctica's ice. The scientists flying overhead thought the equipment was broken, because nature almost never makes straight lines like that, especially not under a continent that hasn't been fully seen by human eyes. So they flew over it again, same result. Again, same result. And that's when people started asking a question that sounds completely insane. What exactly is hiding under Antarctica? Because the deeper scientists looked beneath the ice, the stranger Antarctica became. They found rivers flowing upside down beneath glaciers, lakes sealed away for millions of years, volcanoes hidden under the ice sheet, ancient tropical fossils, microbes surviving in total darkness, and massive shapes in the rock below that some researchers quietly admitted looked unnatural. Now let's dismantle this theory, because most of the internet thinks Antarctica is hiding alien bases, lost civilizations, or giant pyramids. And honestly, most of that stuff falls apart pretty fast. But the real discoveries happening beneath the ice, those are somehow even harder to believe.
Antarctica was always on my bucket list. Been to all the other continents.
Because Antarctica is not just a frozen continent, it's a locked vault of Earth's past, and scientists are only now starting to crack it open. But before we can understand what they found under the ice, you first need to understand how impossible Antarctica really is. Because this continent should not even exist the way it does. When people imagine Antarctica, they usually picture a giant flat sheet of ice. But Antarctica is not flat at all. Underneath the ice is an entire hidden world. There are mountain ranges bigger than the Alps, canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, massive valleys, underground basins, and entire regions no human has ever physically seen. The reason is simple. The ice is unbelievably thick. At its deepest point, Antarctica's ice sheet is nearly 3 miles thick. Imagine putting New York City under ice. Now stack another New York City on top of it, and another. That's the scale we're talking about. For decades, scientists had no idea what was under there.
He wasn't happy with what he saw and heard.
Right.
So there's something potentially sinister, maybe not, but potentially sinister going on down there.
Then, during the Cold War, planes started flying over Antarctica carrying ice-penetrating radar. The technology looked like science fiction. The radar pulses would pass through the ice, bounce off the rock below, and return back to the aircraft. For the first time in human history, we could finally see through Antarctica. And what scientists discovered immediately made Antarctica far more complicated than anyone expected. Because beneath the ice, they found water. A lot of water, not little puddles. Entire lakes, huge lakes. One of them, Lake Vostok, is roughly the size of Lake Ontario, completely sealed beneath the ice, cut off from the surface world for millions of years, which created an absolutely terrifying question. If nothing had touched that water for millions of years, what was living inside it? And that question would lead scientists into one of the strangest discoveries ever made beneath Earth's surface. But the lakes were only the beginning. Because eventually, researchers realized Antarctica wasn't hiding isolated lakes. It was hiding an entire underwater world. At first, scientists thought the subglacial lakes were just trapped pockets of water. Then satellites noticed something bizarre. Parts of Antarctica's ice sheet were rising and falling by several meters, like something underneath was moving. And something was. Researchers eventually discovered that many of these lakes were connected by hidden rivers flowing beneath the continent, an entire plumbing system under the ice. Some rivers stretched for hundreds of miles. Others would suddenly drain one lake and flood another. Imagine rivers flowing in complete darkness beneath 2 miles of solid ice. No sunlight, no fresh air, no humans, just black water moving through ancient stone. And somehow, life survived there. In 2013, scientists finally drilled into one of these hidden lakes beneath Antarctica. Not with oil drills, not with explosives, but with ultra-clean hot water systems designed to avoid contaminating whatever was below. because researchers were genuinely worried about introducing surface bacteria into an ecosystem that may have existed untouched for millions of years. When they finally broke through the ice, the pressure shot water upward into the drill shaft. Then came the samples. And inside them, scientists found living microbes, tiny organisms thriving in one of the harshest environments on Earth. No sunlight, almost no nutrients, near freezing temperatures, and yet the water was alive.
Is the front light on?
It's about...
What?
Some microbes appeared related to known organisms, others looked completely unfamiliar. Researchers even discovered strange bacteria-eating viruses unlike anything previously found in Antarctica, which created a disturbing possibility. If life could survive here, what else could survive in places we thought were impossible? And that's exactly why NASA became interested in Antarctica, because Antarctica may be the closest thing on Earth to another planet. The deeper scientists drilled beneath the ice, the more Antarctica started looking less like Earth, and more like an alien world. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, is covered in thick ice. Underneath that ice is believed to be a giant ocean. Sound familiar? Scientists realized the same technology used in Antarctica could someday be used to search for alien life in space. And suddenly, Antarctica became more than a frozen continent. It became a test run for humanity's future. But while scientists searched for microbes, other researchers were discovering something much harder to explain. Because beneath Antarctica's ice, the continent itself was waking up. In 2004, researchers made a shocking discovery. There weren't just a few volcanoes beneath Antarctica. There were dozens, then hundreds. Eventually, scientists identified what may be the largest volcanic region on Earth hidden under the West Antarctic ice sheet. Some of these volcanoes are massive, completely buried beneath ice, and yes, some are still active, which sounds impossible. But volcanic heat may actually help explain why so much liquid water exists beneath Antarctica in the first place. In certain areas, heat from below combines with pressure from above, creating hidden meltwater systems deep beneath the ice sheet. Meaning some parts of Antarctica are frozen from the top and melting from the bottom. That alone is terrifying. But then researchers found something even stranger. Ash layers buried deep inside Antarctic ice cores, ancient volcanic eruptions frozen in time, like tree rings from Earth's past. Each layer preserving a snapshot of the planet from thousands of years ago. And those ice layers revealed something almost nobody expected. Antarctica was not always frozen. In fact, it used to be green. Scientists discovered fossils of ancient forests buried beneath Antarctica. Tree roots, pollen, leaves, even remains of prehistoric swamp ecosystems.
One of the things I find most striking is the presence of Antarctica on ancient maps, because we didn't discover it until 1820.
Which means millions of years ago, Antarctica looked completely different. Warm, wet, covered in vegetation. Dinosaurs once walked there. That sounds fake, but it's real. And once scientists understood Antarctica used to be habitable, a much bigger mystery appeared. Because if Antarctica once had rivers, forests, and animal life, what else existed there before the ice arrived? That question is where things start getting controversial. Because this is the point where science collides with internet mythology. Over the years, satellite images of Antarctica have gone insanely viral online. People claim they've found pyramids, doors, ruins, gigantic walls, even crashed spacecraft. Most of these claims fall apart immediately. A weird mountain gets labeled a pyramid. A crack in the ice becomes a secret entrance. Humans are really good at seeing patterns where none exist, but not every discovery beneath Antarctica is easy to dismiss. Because radar scans have revealed structures and formations, scientists genuinely struggle to explain quickly. Massive geometric ridges, unusually symmetrical landforms, perfectly flat regions hidden deep beneath rough terrain. Now, to be clear, there is zero confirmed evidence of an ancient civilization beneath Antarctica. None. But what makes Antarctica fascinating is that we still know shockingly little about it. In some places, the maps of the bedrock beneath the ice are still low resolution, meaning there are regions of Antarctica we've technically scanned, but don't fully understand. And when people hear that, conspiracy theories explode, especially because Antarctica already feels secretive. You can't freely travel across most of it. Military activity is heavily restricted. The weather can turn deadly within hours. Entire research stations become isolated for months. Even getting there is brutally difficult. And psychologically, humans hate blank spaces on maps. We always fill them with monsters. That's what we did with the deep ocean. It's what we did with unexplored jungles. And now Antarctica has become the modern version of that fear. But honestly, the real science is already incredible enough. Because beneath Antarctica's ice is an ancient world frozen in time. A place holding climate records going back hundreds of thousands of years. Microbial ecosystems surviving without sunlight. Rivers flowing under mountains nobody has ever seen. And possibly entire environments untouched since before humans even existed. And the craziest part? We've barely scratched the surface. Right now, scientists estimate there are more than 400 subglacial lakes beneath Antarctica. Most have never been explored. Entire sections of the continent remain poorly mapped, and every new expedition seems to uncover something unexpected. Not aliens, not secret civilizations. Something far stranger. Proof that Earth still contains places that feel completely unknown. That there are still parts of this planet capable of surprising us. And maybe that's why Antarctica captures people's imagination so deeply. Because in a world where satellites can see your backyard from space, Antarctica still feels hidden, still feels mysterious, still feels untouched. And somewhere beneath miles of ice, the continent is still keeping secrets.